Hi, Tom and Dom. James here from the No Such Thing as a Fish podcast. I am here in the QI offices with my colleagues Dan Schreiber, Anna Tudzinski and Alex Bell. And I've done some research into the history of the FA Cup, and I'm going to ask my fellow elves if they know any of the answers to my questions, and maybe you guys can play along at home. So, hi guys.
Hello.
Hey. Hi, James.
You all know a lot about football?
So much.
Some would say too much, so this is going to be a terrible quiz.
You're just going to get all the answers straight away.
Yeah.
Anyway, so here's some questions, and let's see if you know anything about the FA Cup. So, true or false, windscreen wipers were invented thanks to the FA Cup?
True.
Any reasoning behind that?
Because it's always raining on the fields.
Yeah, it's weird, even when it's not raining anywhere else in the city.
It's the one bit of England where it's always raining, football fields.
Yeah.
And if a player injures himself, they have to bring those little cars out.
Are you talking about Formula One?
I think you're talking about the 1994 World Cup in America, where they did have the little cars that had stretchers on them. Do you remember?
Do they not have that anymore?
Did they?
It's so much more practical than having two guys run out like it's World War II with that little stretcher. It's a big field. You got to get them off the field.
But then also you've got like tyre tracks all over the football field, haven't you?
Good thought. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when it's raining. That's going to churn up some mud.
Okay, so Dan's going for true. Anna?
I just think false because you don't get a lot of cars on football pitches.
That's fair enough. Alex?
I'm going to go for false.
Okay, well, Daniel, you are correct.
Yeah, I told
it's
you.
true. The first British patent for the windscreen wiper was from 1908, and it was a guy called William Gladstone Adams from Whitley Bay, and he was driving back from London after watching the FA Cup, and he couldn't see where he was going because it was snowing. And so he invented the windscreen wiper.
So wait, he was just coming back from the football. It doesn't really matter where he was coming from. I would say more it's down to snow rather than
yeah. But if it wasn't for the football, he wouldn't have been driving back that day.
Fair. And we'd be driving blind to this very day.
Yeah. No one would have ever invented them, would they?
No.
Okay, here's another one about weather.
Uh-huh.
It's another true or false. True or false, in 1963, the weather was so bad that when they did the draw for the FA Cup, where there should have only been 16 teams in it, there were actually 49 teams in it because they couldn't play any of the matches.
True.
False.
True.
Okay, Dan, you are doing pretty well at this game.
He did warn us he knew a lot about football.
Yeah. There were originally 49 names, but what they did was they decided to put it off for another couple of weeks, and eventually there were only 36 names in the draw.
Exactly. So they allowed some matches to happen, and eventually it took it down by quite a substantial amount.
He knew it.
Of course. At any point, did they consider having 4 teams on the pitch playing each other at once?
That would be good.
That would be so good.
In little cars.
Oh, yeah.
What, with like 4 goals?
4 goals, yeah. I mean, you've got those big long sides that aren't being used for anything at the
that's such
moment.
a nice
Stick a couple of
idea.
goals there. Yeah.
So one of the draws that they had in this round was Walsall or Manchester City or Birmingham City or Bury versus Norwich City or Blackpool or Bradford City or Newcastle.
Wow.
I'd love to see them try and fit that on the little bit at the top left-hand corner of the screen.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go for another one. True or false, the highest score in the FA Cup was 26-0.
I think that's true.
I reckon it's going to be higher. I'm going to say false.
Yeah, I reckon it's higher. False.
Anna, you're right. It's true.
Oh, yes.
It's true. It was Preston North End versus Hyde in 1887. I read a newspaper report about this game, and they said that Preston were playing with the wind and with the hill to begin with, which obviously made it quite easy.
So if everyone just stood still, the ball would just go into the goal repeatedly.
That's terrible. That's like when you play foosball and it is on a slight angle.
Yeah.
Apparently the Hyde goalkeeper had a really good game in that game, even though it was 26-0.
But they still gave him a good hiding.
And then in the Pall Mall Gazette, which was a London newspaper, they talked about this 1887 game, and they said, as usual, the most promising teams are to be found in the Midlands and the North. It's pretty certain that all the Southerners will be knocked out before the final rounds are reached.
Oh.
So in those days, it was all the northern teams who were the best. Okay, one last thing. True or false? In the FA Cup final of 1890, Blackburn Rovers played in white dress shirts.
I remember that match. And yes, I think they were shirts and ties. Now, why would they do that?
Comical mix-up. There was an orchestra who had to play in the football kit because the trunks got mixed up.
So when the orchestra came out to play Abide With Me, they were all wearing Blackburn Rovers strips.
Yeah.
I'd like it if orchestra classical music fans acted like football fans at concerts. That could change the whole tenor of classical music
Do you
events.
not try to Mexican wave when you're at the Albert Hall?
I
always
do.
It doesn't
I've
get
been
very far.
forcibly removed a number of times.
But the Vuvuzela, if you get it at the right moment, fits in perfectly.
It really contributes something to a nice Chopin.
So true or false, Dan?
I'm going to say true.
Okay, Anna?
I'm going to say true because they used to be really smart for tennis as well, didn't they?
Yeah, Alex?
I'm going to say false because I forgot the question and should make variety.
You should have listened to the other guys because it is true.
Yeah.
Blackburn were playing Sheffield Wednesday. They both played in blue and white, and so it was obviously a problem because they had the same kits. Blackburn went to a local tailor who gave them some nice, neat white dress shirts, but they still went on to win 6-1
Wow.
in the final.
Maybe dress shirts is the key.
It could be.
Listen up.
Does anyone know what the scores were? Because I wasn't keeping count.
Yes, I got one
Pretty
wrong.
sure I nailed it.
So
Dan got 3. Anna got
Two.
2.
I got
And Alex
0.
got 0.
Oh, no.
Oh dear. I think we're going to have to say that Dan's the winner.
yeah, definitely.
Hope you did well at home. Now it's back to Tom and Dom. You've been listening to No Such Thing as a Fish.